Miami beat FSU 28-22, but they were up 28-3 at one point. The score did not indicate how dominant Miami was for this game. They move up to number 2. They jump Oregon. Maybe that changes in the following week. What are we thinking from Miami's perspective and the rest of the season?
Yeah, first of all, I want to give my props to Malachi Tony, Freshman of the Year. I know that there are some rumblings around a lot of other people, but in my personal opinion, when you're able to go in to your absolute rival stadium, right? Drop 7 catches, 107 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That is an all-time performance, especially for a true freshman. That is not just a true freshman. He is a reclassified true freshman. He came into this season as a 17-year-old. He just 17, Ryan Williams, shout out. Dude, he just recently, which I know Ryan Williams put up even better numbers against a Georgia team last year, so I understand how this looks. But Ryan Williams is still a great player, and Malachi Tony deserves his flowers because he had a performance for not the ages, but he had a really, really good game. And just in general, this offense looked to be clicking the whole game. There wasn't a drive where I really felt like awfully about, to like at least for the first three quarters and some change. Carson Beck looks really good. He was on it the whole game, and that defense, it is just so refreshing to watch a defense that can actually play defense, because up until the end of that fourth quarter and like maybe from like 10 minutes on, that defense was absolutely stagnant. They had Thomas Castellano looking like his head just was like on a swivel the whole game. Like it had to be, because like he had 2 pretty bad interceptions, and then he wasn't able to do his thing where he gets out of the pocket and runs a lot. Like the whole plan was structured around the way he plays football, and they did a really good job of that. Ruben Bain didn't have as big of an impact as you would have liked to have seen in the first half. He had 2 like pretty like whatever penalties that were just unnecessary, and like he didn't have that like Heisman winning like performance that he could have like made a statement with in this game. But still, Akeem Mesidor had a really good game. That secondary played really well, and just in general, it was a pretty dominant performance from the Canes. Even though it looks a lot closer on paper, only 6-point loss, but this game really ended at 28-3.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. If we look back at this game, 5 weeks from now, I'm hoping people don't forget that this Miami team controlled that entire game. Just a couple, late stuff at the end there from Florida State just made it look a little bit closer. But this was a very, very impressive performance from Miami. Malachi Tony, you're so right. I remember in this, like right around springtime, we were thinking, man, they got all of these transfer wide receivers. It's going to be a whole new looking room, ton of talent. And then he just goes off in the spring game, and then you just hear small rumblings, and then you see it in the Notre Dame game, and it's like, he's legit. He is legit. I hope he's a career Hurricane. I don't really see there being a situation where he does leave. But yeah, awesome. 29 receptions, 375 yards, 3 touchdowns to the first 5 games of the year. That's great stuff. This Miami offense looks like it's really good. If Carson Beck is not committing turnovers, this is one of the best offenses in the nation, bar none. And then if this defense, which isn't really very totally reliant on turnovers, even though they forced 3 against Florida State, if this defense holds like they're playing right now, this team could beat anybody in the country. Absolutely. They can, and I'm totally willing to say that they could beat Ohio State. I'm totally willing to say they could beat Oregon. I actually think it's those 3 top teams and then a little bit of a distance from the next batch of teams. And I think Miami has a serious case just right now with what we've seen on the field as being the most impressive team so far this year, especially since, Ohio State's resume kind of has taken a little bit of a hit with Texas falling out of the rankings, and same thing for Oregon. This Miami team, let's move this conversation into how good they could be towards the rest of the country and going forward in the ACC. I just wanted to make this point really quick before I toss it back to you. They have beaten Notre Dame, and say what you want about Notre Dame, but that offense looks really good, and their worst game was against Miami, and they're like they're number 16 in the nation right now. Say what you want if that's too high. They're ranked currently. Florida State still ranked after that loss. They beat Alabama. I'm not using the transitive property here for Miami to being better than Bama, but that's an impressive ranked win. That's why they're still in the top 25. USF is now back in the top 25. We were expecting it to happen. That could be the G6 representative in the college football playoff. Memphis is right there.
G5.
No, Pac-12 is considered G6, but yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I found that out the other day,
Wow.
technically by per rules. But yeah, like that could be the representative in the college football playoff, and they handled that game. Also, the Florida win looks a little bit better than it did the other week since they just beat Texas. I love what they've put out on the field. I think it's the best of any team in the nation right now. And I'm not willing to sit here and say they're going to be the definitive national champions. I'm not saying that. This team feels like a lock for the ACC championship game. Oh man, college football is so crazy. But I want to say that they're going to go undefeated too in the regular season. And I think they're going to rattle off a couple wins in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think I want to go back to something that you said of them having the best resume of any team right now. I think that's pretty easily. As of right now, they have 3, like just not even where they started ranked. They have 3 ranked wins that are all pretty decent teams. Like you mentioned, USF could be the group of 5 representative. And like you also mentioned, Memphis also looks really good. Tulane could have some say in that as well. Just that whole American Athletic Conference looks pretty decent. But still, FSU, USF, Notre Dame, 3 teams that genuinely had their worst game against Miami, because Miami looks to be that team that is just a notch above like some of the rest of the competition. And I think they are genuinely in that conversation of Oregon and Ohio State. And if not in that conversation, leading that conversation, because like you mentioned, the Ohio State resume doesn't look as good now that Texas isn't like as good as they were before. And then Oregon, like that win, obviously they got Penn State's best shot, right? Like UCLA was a little bit of a come down game. So Penn State is not as bad as UCLA by any means, but still that win loses a little bit of its luster because of the fact that Penn State isn't their only loss isn't to Oregon, and now it's to one of the worst teams in all of Power 4 schools. I think in general, Miami has the best resume of any team at this current moment, and they've done it like in all facets of the game. There isn't like you're not looking at offense or defense and being like, we want more from this. Like both of these both look really good, and we haven't seen a game where they've had to overcome a lot, especially from like turnovers, from the perspective of turnovers or anything like that. But even if they do, I think that this defense is good enough where they can hold and like bend but not break. And if Carson Beck can just have an average game at the very least, that running game and that offensive line can carry you to like wins against the majority of teams in the FBS at this point. Mark Fletcher, Shamar Brown, Jordan Lyle, that whole backfield looks really good. The receivers that they have on the team, CJ Daniels, we didn't even mention his name. He is one of the best receivers. He transferred from LSU, and before that Liberty. He looks really good, and he had 2 touchdowns in this game. You can stack up that receiving room, maybe not with anybody in the country. That Ohio State one with Garnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith looks really good, but still that receiving core looks a lot better than it did when you were hearing all these things about how they lost 5 of their 6 top pass catchers coming into the season. Like they have guys on that receiving room, they have the quarterback, they have the running back room, and this year they have the defense. So it's really exciting to be a Miami Hurricanes fan, and you'll definitely see more of them going forward. I think that your assessment of them at least being in the ACC championship game is 100% accurate, and predicting any team to run to the schedule in college football is extremely tough because on any given weekend, one team can beat another one. But if there's anyone that can do it, put Miami right there with any other team.